Hello everyone, welcome to the video. It's the absolute King Dylan. I got House of the Dragon's 7th episode here to compare to the books. Helena mentions that as a girl she liked to fly on Dreamfire, but it only brought bad times now. In the books, Helena isn't the gloomy, prophecy-ridden cursed dreamer she is in the show. She is described as cheerful and a lovely lady. She rode Dreamfire constantly, just as Rhaena before her, the Rhaena from Jay Harry's time. Aemond has sex with what at first he thinks is his mom, but it's Alice. I won't go into that, but I'm disappointed they won't do the full incest circle. That's why I watch this show, for the incest. I hope the AI makes it sound sarcastic or I'll look like a weirdo. I'm already probably one. The Alicent stuff really pissed me off. She was in King's Landing being held captive, being threatened to make a bastard at a whorehouse, or begging to split the kingdoms into two between Aegon and Rhaenyra. Watch my prior videos where I mention it. Aemond is currently burning the Riverlands. It doesn't mention where he spends his nights, but I assume he can't stay at Harrenhal or he'd be found. Though it does make sense that the longer he's there, he grows a better relationship with Alice. He kills Adrian Redfort with the sloppiest justification designed to end that plot point before anything happened or before Aemond could learn the truth. Um, at first, I thought he might have figured it out through that one line he had about the queen being treated shamefully, but Alicent just said they escaped before Rhaenyra could treat her, however. But that doesn't seem to have played a role. First of all, I'd like to say being someone who protects the royal family does not make them equipped for assassination missions. Eric did it last season because he looked like his twin brother, so he could do it. Adrian needs to be guarding Rhaenyra. In the books, he died guarding Rhaenyra. He was the only named Queen's Guard. Now, they're going to have to introduce the other Queen's Guard I mentioned the names of last week, but they're probably replacing him with Laurent Marbrand, even though he has a separate death. Oh well. Anyway, Alicent never left King's Landing in the time Rhaenyra held the city. If the show were accurate to the books, Alicent's actor would be working while doing nothing on screen. These plots surrounding her are meant to include her in the plot. In the books, her character is pretty one note as firmly on her son's side while being held captive. The writers are trying to make her storyline interesting here. We see Jane Eyre with Jessamine Redfort, more to subtly have their relationship. In the books, Mushroom has an outrageous take of Jane being kind of freaky and demanding sex from Jace when he comes to the Vale, but more truthfully, she is gay. Her attitude is never explained in the books, so her slapping Rhaena last week might be character accurate or not, but not that this plot point exists, so it never happened. Her being this way with Daemon is pretty accurate since she tells him to never come to the Vale after his wife's death, even though Daemon never killed his wife. She was awake for days after, so she would have told someone. Daemon is just hated. Daemon is with Nettles, Sheepstealer's actual rider. They are traveling every night, bathing and sleeping together at night. Every night. Falling in love. This daughter in hiding with father, searching, trying to stop her, is not a good replacement. I thought it had potential to make it about Rhaena and Daemon. A not really grown upon relationship, but one that does exist. Might be better than a story of a non Targaryen dragon rider having sex with a man who is repeatedly unfaithful. They made Daemon faithful last season, so it would be character regression to have that, but I feel like a more faithful Daemon slowly cracking to the unexpected joy of a non Targaryen dragon rider could have tied into Daemon's Valyrian conquest dreams. This next 10 seconds is spoilers, but Daemon might have survived the war and went to live in peace with Nettles. They could have tied Daemon's Valyrian conquest dreams all around. The thing is, Nettles doesn't have an ending because she just runs away and is never found again. The Daemon with Nettles ending could have given Nettles an ending, but if they don't want to use that book theory, then she does nothing at the end, and that could take away entertainment value. But instead, we got Rhaena, and at the very least, I had expected at the start of the season, Daemon would work with her to kill Vagar like with Nettles, just without the sex to get Rhaenyra to forgive her if they killed him. But this plot is just lame. They're really scrambling his plot this season, going back and forth with the gold cloaks and this. The Corlys being kidnapped stuff did not happen in the books. He never left the capital. But I'm glad the purpose of his kidnapping isn't to make him Daeron's hand, as it seemed to be foreshadowing with all that hand talk last episode. Daeron saying Rhaenyra could have her crown is inaccurate to his character, though he doesn't have too much characterization in the books, so the show can do what they want with that. He doesn't have one trait of note. He is horribly mad at Rhaenyra for the death of Maelor, so he sacks Bitterbridge. Torrhen finally says he's here as a scapegoat. Yeah, you drink that wine, Mysaria, drink it. But in the books, it's Bartimos Celtigar that's hated in the streets as the master of coin, and it's because he raised the taxes, which the show seems to not have done. He raises the taxes particularly every day, the book mentions. Sabitha Frey then leaves King's Landing, which she never was in. I'll talk about it in the spoiler section, though I'm not sure if they're going to use the plot point. On Aegon's adventures, the Mootons are marching. In the books, they went to recapture Rook's Rest a long time ago after it was taken. Tyland isn't being hunted in the books because he was in King's Landing when it fell and is now being tortured constantly to find out where the gold is. The Dragon Scramble fight is non-existent, so I can't really talk about it since there's nothing to compare it to. But I will say it is disappointing to have this build-up that Rhaena would be horribly punished if she was revealed, then only subvert that by keeping her locked up comfortably. As much as I like Yuri, this relationship between Rhaenyra and Mysaria just isn't accurate. Now, secret affairs wouldn't be recorded in history books, but Rhaenyra gets so mad at Daemon for cheating on her with Nettles, I doubt she would be unfaithful. Unless it was revenge, but this relationship has almost nothing to do with Daemon. In the books, Daemon is sleeping with Mysaria every night before he goes out with Nettles to hunt Aemond. So unless the histories got the wrong Targaryen. As for the dream of Helena, I didn't really get it, but that was Dreamfire, and she was not as beautiful as I would imagine a dragon named Dreamfire. Um, Being with her kids seemed nice, but nothing about the books is mentioned. Sunfire is back in action. In the books, he isn't mentioned burning Mooten men, but if there are no survivors, then no one could tell. But there would be burned bodies, so I'm not sure how they would bury them. In the books, for months, Sunfire is described as not able to fly, moving around like a golden worm, which is what Sheepstealer does. Kristen's men fed it after he ran out of corpses from the battle to eat. Whaley's Mooten took Rook's Rest and sent men to kill the dragon, but he used his tail and fire to kill Wally's and his men. After this, the unconscious Aegon, after what I think is half a year, finds Sunfire. No one knows when Sunfire has regained his strength, and he goes missing. He disappeared a fortnight after the attack, but his wing had healed at a weird angle. Not sure if that's the case now. Difference from the show. Aegon wasn't there when Sunfire killed the Mootons. Survivors would have told of it. Last scene of the episode is Ulf becoming betrayer. Apparently he was communicating with Ormond before this. Ulf turned traitor in the Battle of Tumbleton, but assumingly he had to let the Hightowers know he was changing sides. So secret meetings make sense. For spoilers, I'll say I thought Hugh was going to be the first betrayer, having still been in Tumbleton last episode. Not sure if he would escape or think he needed to change sides so as to not burn his wife. When Ormond said peace on the board, it seemed Hugh betrayed sometime between this episode and the last, and Ulf might follow suit or just not want to fight a bigger dragon. But it was Ulf first. I'll get back to Sabitha Frey. In the books, she leads the Frey men into taking Harrenhal 3 days after Cole and Aemond on Vhagar separated. Only 3 days. She didn't hold it for long. She is quickly attacked by Vhagar, who reclaims the castle. There's a funny story of her hiding in the privy to escape the Dragonfire. That would be funny for a snobby character, but she isn't a Targaryen, so we'll likely never see her again. Maybe we'll see her husband, Forrest Frey, leading the attack and dying or hiding in the privy. He actually died in the battle by the lakeshore, or the fish feed, if you prefer. I don't remember if I mentioned that in the first episode of this series. If I didn't, Lord John Charlton also died, and he was a nobody. There's a lot of nobodies. The number of named Rivermen in that battle is too many. They've really dumbed down the Rivermen characters to Oscar Tully and the slightly mentioned Mark Piper. But that's the video. I'm done. Goodbye.